Okay, I want to take a minute here. We're going to start out. This is probably going to be one of the first introductory courses or videos, for you to watch before you start into the shop and your lab exercises of welding. I want to discuss a few things inside. When you first walk in the welding lab, there's a podium on the left. At this point, there may not be in the future, I don't know, but somewhere there, you'll be able to look for a document, or I should have written down that, it's kind of some guidelines to help you along. So when we're designating electrodes, especially starting out with shield metal arc welding, we want to figure out what polarity we're doing, we're going to be welding with. We want to look at the amperage range that we're going to be going. This is a rough guideline to start. So we're 1/8 inch size filler metal, 60 or 1/8 inch diameter. 6010 is the electrode classification. We're going to be at a DC electrode positive polarity. And our amperage range is going to be from 80 to 90 amps. Okay? I don't want to see much higher than 90. I don't want to see much lower than 70. There's a little bit of wiggle room in there. But you get too much higher than this and it creates a very volatile arc. And it actually creates more of an issue to where it's a turbulent flow and you're pulling moisture in and porosity within your weld if you get too high amperage. Okay? The diameter 332, 7018 low hydrogen electrode, DC electrode positive, 80 to 90 amps, roughly the same. Okay? Now here's what you're going to be starting out. So you're going to be starting out with 6010 1/8 inch and 7018 1/8 inch. I want you to get used to those two sizes of electrodes first, and then we can move on to exploring with some 3/32 and so forth, okay? 1/8 inch, that wire diameter, or electrode diameter, 7018, DC electrode positive, so reverse polarity, 105 to 130 amps. Now when you see a range like this, okay, 80 to 90, 105 to 130, we always create more heat as we are welding vertical uphill especially, okay? So when we see a range of 105 to 130, this 105 is more than likely what I'm going to want to be at in a vertical position. Starting out, we're doing flat and horizontal welds. So we want to be closer to that 130-ish. I'm going to say 120. 120 is a medium. I should change that to a 120 now. Let's start out about 120 amps. Okay? Constant current, not constant voltage. Now when we get to the GMAW welds, I'll help you on the same thing. Hopefully I'll have helped you start in the lab where somebody has. So we're going to run 035 wire size. It is more than likely going to be a 70S classification wire. Size. We're at a constant voltage, okay, instead of a constant current. So our voltage range is going to be, I'm going to say, let's start at 17 to 19 volts, okay, and our wire speed. Some people say, a lot of times you'll see me write this as a W/S wire speed. Okay. Your wire speed's going to have a range on it. To where it should be somewhere between 100 and, I'm going to say 170 to 230. Again, especially starting out, it's going to take a little bit of time to get used to. And so forth. So 170, 230 inches per minute. Okay. Okay. Now I want to take a second and I want to talk about electrode position. Okay. Before we even get started, before we go out in the shop, myself or somebody else will get you started. I want to show you how to set the machine up, get everything going. Sometimes it gets busy in there and I'm swamped, so bear with us or we'll find lab assistant or somebody to help you, okay? But if this is my weld piece, say it's laying flat on the table like this, I want to talk a little bit about electrode angle, okay? So we call it drag angle, or a work work angle sometimes. So if my weld progression is going to come across like this. Say I start here, I'm right-handed, I'm going to start left to right. If I'm left-handed, I would start usually opposite. And the reason for this is because if I'm welding this way, I have to look over my hand to be able to see the weld puddle. So welding from left to right, I'm starting out of position. I come out here to where there's less mobility, or more mobility, I'm sorry, less restriction. And it's right there to where I'm not looking past my welding electrode or my hand or my glove to be able to see my weld puddle, okay? So I want to make sure that I can pull it along. I'm dragging it about a 20 degree, not straight up and down, but about a 20 degree work angle. And I want to be able to see that weld puddle as we're going. So my electrode angle is not going to be straight up and down, but rather about a 10 to 20 degree angle, okay? To 20 degrees. I want to just watch along, come along nice and easy, so forth. Now, let's talk about how we're going to weld. Say this is the flat piece. Okay, so we're looking down on it from a top view. Now we've moved it this direction. Guess I better make sure that it's even in the... There we go. Okay, so we've taken a flat piece that we're going to weld this way. We've just turned it this way to show you. So I want to maintain my 10 to 20 degree angle, okay? But I don't want to be way here or here. I want to make sure that I stay somewhat within a 90 degree angle to the workpiece. 20 degree drag angle, and I'm going to drag it along, and I'm going to let my weld get big. Just drag it along. Let it get about 2 times the size of the diameter, and wait until it gets that big. Just slowly bring it along to start with. Okay? Now once we get the bead started and everything going pretty well, then we're going to take a second. And at that point, I should have looked at it and I should tell you to start building a pad. Say for example, a helmet. You can always reference the videos within Blackboard as well. Okay? But now I want to come in and I want to start stacking these weld beads on top of each other. So now my angle is going to change. I still want to maintain my 20 degree, but when I come here, I don't necessarily want to be in this direction, but I want to drop it down to about a 20 degree angle. Okay? And I want to aim right for the toe of this weld in my center. So then my weld bead's going to look like this. Okay? It's really important to think about that as we're welding along. Maintain the 0 to 20 degree drag angle, as well as 90 degree perpendicular to the plate when you're first starting. But by the time you are stacking your beads and building a pad, you are going to drop from a 90 to about a 30 or 40. So I'm going to give you a side profile of that. Okay. So now we're going to be looking at this as if we're looking down this direction. A side view, okay? So our first weld is here. Let me give you a 3-dimensional. Okay? So our first weld is here. Now we're going to come in. We talked about our drag angle. We were straight up and down at the beginning. Now we want to bring this rod angle in, or electrode angle in, about like this. Okay? And we're going to aim right for the toe of this weld. By doing that, we're going to help make a weldment that looks very similar to this. Do a larger scale picture here. So this is our weld. We want to make sure that we weld in coming right to the toe of this weld. Make sure that it ties in. Ties in. What we want to avoid is coming out here and laying a weld bead here. Because then what happens if we were to machine this down or grind it down to prepare this, right here, we've got good solid weld, and then all of a sudden we have a large void in the middle. So we have to come back and repair this. So if we do it right the first time, we want to be pointing towards the center of the weld, or towards the toe of this weld, be watching our top of the weld here, and bottom here, and we want to make sure that our high point hits up here. Okay, and I'll be showing you this in the shop as well. I just wanted to talk about a couple things here to get you going, get your mind thinking right about starting out in the welding shop. Remember, safety equipment. Safety is very important. You want to maintain good quality equipment. Make sure your welding hood and the shades are on the correct settings. So for example, if you turn it to a shade 13, it's going to be very hard for you to see the weld puddle. It's going to be very frustrating. So let's start out about number 10, shade 10. If you have an auto changer, naturally you'll set it down to shade 10. Some of you, if you're still running just a plain lens, make sure you have at least a 9 or a 10. I prefer a 10 to start with, and then you can see if maybe you'll drop down to a shade 9. We want to make sure that the sensitivity and everything is set correct. I can help walk you through that on the setup for your welding hood as well. No frayed pants, watch the frayed clothing, so forth. Okay. All right. Just a few pointers that a lot of times at the very beginning can be a little rough to get started with. Okay. If you have any other questions, please come ask me. Thank you.